Hello and welcome to tutorial 8. Alright, now just to recall what the task was. The task was to put the two of each colors in their respective zones. So two blue discs in the blue zone, two green discs in the green zone, and two red in the red zone. Alright, now this is how you got the blue one, and I went through this in the last challenge. Alright, now in order to get the green one, the green one's symmetric, right? I said it was symmetric about this line. So most of the movements, the distances remain the same, except the turning. So if you go here, so this turning, instead of left would be right, because I'm turning right. And then once I collect this piece and come back, once I reverse, I would need to turn right. So these are the two things that I've changed. This is the block where I'm collecting the green pieces. Again, that's repeated twice for both the green discs. Okay, one for the first one furthest and one for the one that's nearer. So left becomes right, left becomes right. Okay, last one, okay, is one where you see quite a bit of difference because this has to go here, then go left. And remember, by this time the blue ones are already gone because the red ones are the last ones to be picked up. So it goes here. Now how much do you go? Again, a bit of trial and error. I realized 500 mils would get me to the right distance, so that when I turn, okay, when I turn right and then when I go forward, I'm just in line with these red discs, and I need to go about 500 so that I don't go beyond the green, because I don't want to be grabbing the green. I just want to be grabbing the reds. And then after that, again, you reverse, you turn, you reverse again, you turn, and you go towards your red. No, you don't go toward, you go towards your red, you put it back, and then you repeat the whole thing twice. All right, I'm not going to go through every single number and how I got that, but again, if you want to see what the blocks are, this is the red, go up again, this is for the green, and this is for the blue. All right, let's try and see how this works out. All right, here I go. Okay, so always pick the furthest one first. Again, you got to have your velocity to maximum. If not, this is going to take time. Now it's going to pick the one that's nearer. This other one's gone. Okay. Going down. Now it's going to be the next repeat block here. The furthest green is picked up first. And then turn in the opposite direction. Go back. Repeat the same movement again. The one closest is being picked up now. And then drop to the far away green box here. And finally, the third loop is in action now. The furthest red will be picked up. Now this one's easier to drop because you don't need to turn this way. And then you go back again. Again, remember, I'm just repeating the same thing. So it goes furthest and then it comes back. Okay, it's all of them are repeats of 2. All right, so this is done. Okay, it must have been quite a bit of a work. Okay, but if you manage to get it done, really great job. This was not easy, honestly. This was probably the toughest challenge that you had so far. All right, so well done. Okay, the next thing I'm going to look at is let me just delete these things first. I'm going to look at how to create a function. Okay, now just to understand what a function is. All right, a function is a set of tasks that you need to carry out. So instead of writing scripts for all the different tasks, I can summarize that into a single task. For example, if I gave you a task, switch on your laptop, that might include a few steps. Okay, find the power button, press the power button, make sure you make sure your screen you adjust to an angle that you can see, and then after that you got to log on. So there's a few steps, and I can actually define all those steps into a single step. I can combine all those steps into a single step, okay, by describing a function. Okay, and that function has those few steps, and every time I call the function, it executes the steps that I need. So now I'm going to create a function using this grid. It's a number grid map. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a function where I'm going to use a blue line to cross off 3 numbers. All right, so this robot is going to cross out 3 numbers. So 1, 2, 3, and then I can call on that function anytime. Anytime I call on that function, is going to drive forward and cross off 3 numbers. Okay, so let's see how this is done. Okay, so the first thing, go to my blocks. Okay, when you make a block, this is where you're actually making a function. Okay, so you give it a name that defines what you're going to do, that makes sense to you. Okay, so let me call it cross off 3 numbers in blue. Means blue ink. All right, so that's the name I'm giving it. Okay, shift them a bit. Okay, so this is the name. I've given it a name, but I haven't actually defined it. So this is where you're going to define. You're going to add blocks to it. So what do I mean by cross off 3 numbers in blue? Okay, so I want to move the pen down, obviously, because you want to cross off. Move your pen down, and then you set your color to blue. Set color to blue, and then you need to drive forward, obviously, because you want to cross off. Your robot needs to move, and you got to move about 400 because 1 block is 200. And starting with the block you're on itself, that number is going to cross off, and then you move your pen back up. All right, to make sure it doesn't interfere with the next line of code. So every time I call, now I've got this function which is called cross off 3 numbers. Every time I call on that function, it's going to cross off 3 numbers. All right, now, sorry, this always happens. So now let's try and run a simple program to show how this works. Okay, so I'm going to first turn right. So turn right for 90. Move this a bit. Okay, now this is the main program you're going to run. These functions will remain in the background. Okay, so turn right for 90, and then I'm going to call on this function. So when I say call on the function, that means you're basically executing the function and all the code that's within the function. So I'm going to call on that, cross off 3 numbers in blue. So it's going to turn right, cross off 3 numbers by going 400 mils and doing all that. And then next I'm going to drive forward. So I'm going to drive forward another 400 mils. All right. This time around, I'm not going to cross anything. I'm just going to drive forward without crossing anything off. And then I'm going to call on the function crossing off again. And I can drive forward again quickly. This time, let's drive off 200. And then finally, I'm going to call on the function cross off 3 numbers in blue. Let's see how this works out. All right, ready, tomorrow, get set, go. I should have set the speed for higher. The speed's too slow. But anyway, you see how this is going? 3 numbers, 1 number spacing, 3 numbers, and then 1 number spacing, because I've got that drive forward in the middle. Okay, so there you go. That's what happens, and that is the function. That is the function that is defined here. So the advantage of having a function, defining function, is that you don't need to write 4 lines of code every single time. You just need to write put in one block. So literally saving, instead of having 4 blocks, you're having 1 block. So you're saving 3 blocks. 3 times 3 is 9. And if you've got a long program, you might be able to save 15 to 20 lines of code, or even more. So this is when you use functions. And many of the things that we did before, we could have used functions. Okay, but just that we haven't learned functions up to this lesson. All right, so now you know how to use functions. You should be able to write codes more easily and reduce your lines of code. Now, here is your task. All right, your task now, and the challenge for this tutorial is basically to draw 1 line in blue and then the next line in red. Okay, but for example, you turn right, go straight. This whole line is in blue, and when you go from 10 to 20, you shouldn't be crossing off anything. There shouldn't be any line here. All right, so this is important. So all I need is blue, and then red from 20 to 11, and then blue, and then red, and then blue, red. As long as I have blue, red, blue, red, blue, red all the way up to here, then you've basically nailed it. All right, so obviously you need functions. You need to define functions. You might need more than one. That's a clue. You will definitely need a repeat loop. All right, now all the best, and I shall see you in tutorial 9. Thank you very much for listening.